This morning we are going to be making some rustic nettle rolls and garden pesto. So I have my gloves and some scissors and a basket to get all of the nettle and basil that we'll need out of the garden. I also have lemons and limes that are starting to get ripe here in the garden because it's citrus time here in the winter here in Florida. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. So you may be wondering, what exactly is garden pesto? Well, it's pesto made from fresh basil from the garden. I also have some homegrown fresh pecans because it's kind of pecan time here in Florida, down here in the south. So my parents graciously gave me a bunch of pecans and I went out to their house and got some pecans. I also have lemons that are starting to be ready to be harvested and limes that are definitely ready. So for the most part, most of the ingredients that I'm going to be using today for this pesto are coming from local areas or my own garden and my own property. So full-on garden pesto. I'm pretty excited to be able to make something entirely out of what I've grown. So this basil is African blue basil. I've had a very hard time growing basil this year in the garden because I've had a huge ant problem, which I have been dusting with diatomaceous earth, Sophie richly, and using vinegar and stuff like that to try to keep them away. But for the most part, they have been seeming to eat all of my basil plants when I plant them in the garden. However, just recently I decided to re-landscape the front of my house and add in a huge pollinator bed section with herbs and pollinating flowers and things like that that are perennials, and I put in this African blue basil that has just taken off, and I finally can get basil and make pesto, something that I tried desperately all summer to be able to grow and just could not ever seem to. So I'm pretty excited to be using this African blue basil. It's really easy to propagate. If you just cut it off and stick it in a pot of water, it'll grow roots. And so I've since put one in my garden beds. There's another one over here in this same pollinator kind of island. So very, very excited about this African blue basil. The bees just absolutely love it. The butterflies absolutely love it. I don't know if you can tell, but there's been stuff flying all around it while I'm here at the moment. So very, very wonderful type of basil to have in the garden. It's very hardy. So for your rustic rolls, you're gonna need the following: 2.5 cups of bread flour or all-purpose flour, a 4th teaspoon instant or dry active yeast, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 1/4 cups hot tap water, and then 1/2 cup nettles, kale, or any other herbs that you'd like to use. To harvest the nettle, you want to make sure that you use gloves and snip the top 6 to 7 fresh nettle leaves. You want to use young nettle, and we only need the leaves for this recipe, not the stalks. Then you need to boil or steam your nettle for several minutes to remove the sting, and then give it a nice ice bath to help stop the cooking and help maintain some of the vibrancy and color. Then chop it up, and that's ready to use. So for the rolls, you're going to combine the dry ingredients, the chopped nettle, and you're going to pour the hot water mixture over until it forms a nice dough. Then you're going to move that dough to a well-oiled bowl, and you're going to place a dish towel over it and let it sit for 3 hours until it's kind of doubled in size and looks kind of puffy and bubbly. So after your dough has sat for 3 hours, you want to move it to a well-floured surface and have floured hands, and you're going to stretch and fold that dough until it feels nice and tight. And then using a scraper, which I didn't have one, but it would be helpful if you had one, you're gonna cut that into 8 pieces, and you're gonna form nice little rounds. You're gonna set a piece of parchment paper out on a baking tray, and you're gonna place your 8 rolls on that piece of parchment paper. And you're gonna let that sit for 30 to 35 minutes. And you're gonna place a dish towel over that as well. They won't exactly double in size, but they will kind of get a little bit more puffy. And then once you have covered it with a dish towel, go ahead and start preheating your oven. You're gonna preheat to 450. And then once your dough has sat for 30 to 35 minutes, you're gonna bake for another 20 to 25 minutes, and then your rustic rolls should be ready. So while your dough rests for 3 hours, you can go ahead and make your pesto. For your pesto, you're gonna need 2 cups tightly packed basil, 1/2 cup of nuts, it could be pine nuts, pecan, or walnuts, 3/4 cup shredded Parmesan, 2 garlic cloves, 2 small or 1 large lemon juiced, a 1/2 cup of extra virgin olive oil, and salt and pepper to taste. You're just gonna blend it all in a food processor or a blender until you've reached your desired consistency, and then it's ready to go. It's so easy. Now it's time to get my lemons. So my lemon tree is out here by the chicken run and they're just starting to turn. But I think I spotted one way down here at the bottom. I should not be eating on camera, but it's really good. So that is basically how you make the rustic rolls and the pesto. They're both pretty easy. I know bread can kind of be daunting. Mostly it's not hard at all. It just takes time to let sit, and so you have to start early and just have a lot of patience. But it's completely worth it in the end, and I highly suggest giving it a go if you've never tried making your own bread. I think this is a wonderful no-fuss recipe that is pretty simple to make. I'm gonna try to write up the recipe in the description below so that you can have something a little bit more easy and streamlined to follow to go along with this video. So thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time. I hope you enjoy it and give it a try.